Hi, I'm Janelle Collard, and I am here with Sharon K. Richards today. Sharon is one of the members of the group of people who bring you the information from callingonthemasters.com and weseektoserve.com websites. Sharon has agreed today to allow the panelist group to speak through her, and we have some questions we'd like to ask. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
I think it's interesting that we've heard of triads, which is the three coming together to form one cohesive energy, but what's coming up next is a big group of people. Mm-hmm. This is quite different.
That's right. It was a bit of a surprise when they showed up, but there they are.
Well, I like to think of Sharon as the Rich Little of the spiritual world, because you got more people going on in that head of yours. I don't know how you keep it straight. And now you're bringing it all in as a big group. But anyway, if you are ready, I would like to start.
All right, we'll give it a go.
Okay, call them in.
All right, we are here.
All right.
I am here.
Welcome. So you
Thank
say
you.
we and then it's I. So I assume you're
Yes.
coming together as one large cohesive.
Well, that is the challenge. When you start working in actually even triads or groups, when you speak with one voice, it tends to be I. And yet I know that I am a voice of many.
Okay. Now, do you have people in the group fighting to get their voice to be the one?
No,
I mean,
it becomes a unique voice. That is like a triad. A triad has its own signature. A group has its own signature, and it has one voice.
So it's a blending of everybody's energies?
Yes, it becomes one voice,
Okay.
a unique voice for the group.
Wonderful. Well, my question to you then is, what's the difference between a group and a council?
All right, if I may back up, the panelist group is made up of those who speak on weseektoserve.com
Yes, okay.
and thoughtsfromamaster.com. So this group has a specific scope and a specific mission, and unlike other groups, we have a specific delineation of membership. Those who speak on the website. And now we are the group that will manage and coordinate the website from our standpoint. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay.
And hope that people are not confused when I say I or when I say we. It is still just one group with one voice. Now, the difference between a group and a council. A council, if you can imagine your community council, has various members, and usually you have a speaker, be they the chairman or the leader or the head or the mayor or whatever. Okay. And each individual council member speaks in their own voice. Okay. It's the same with councils, the many councils that the community of spiritual masters works with. And it is our off-earth allies that will tend to have these councils. And there are many councils. Each individual representative speaks in their own voice. And in a group, we agree that we are coming together for a specific purpose, and there is one voice, a unified voice, it is a consensus that is then spoken in one voice.
So would you meet beforehand, this group of people, because you are all separate entities as well? Do you all meet beforehand and figure out how to, or is
No.
it just a natural blending?
Figure out what to say?
Figure out what your project is and what your agendas are and how to, what the plan is. It's hard
I'd
to
have
take
to
all
say-
these people and put them all in one soup.
No, not for us. All right. No, it truly is not difficult. And yes, like triads, there is a purpose, there is a mission. The mission is to coordinate the community of spiritual masters and the off-earth allies as they will present their material through the websites and through the Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mission.
Okay.
All right? The mission does not change. When Master Kutumi and Kenu were working to do this coordination, that was still the mission. So the mission does not change. Oh, did she leave an opening?
The structure.
Right. That is one of the key elements of groups that will function into and through the new civilization and become functional and succeed in the new civilization. The mission does not change, but the leadership does. The leadership has a succession, the advisors change, the leadership changes, but the mission stays the same. And that's exactly what we did on the websites and the Facebook page. Is we knew this was in the plan all along. We didn't let it be known, but this was in the plan all along, that at some point, first it was Master Kutumi by himself doing all the coordination.
Mm-hmm.
That will tend to create a guru.
Right.
Right. This you will not see in the new civilization. There will be no gurus. All right. Then when the off-earth allies began to speak, Kenu joined. And now you had two.
Mm-hmm.
Master Kutumi was still doing the primary, I think, organization. I'll let them worry about that. But we knew now that we have all the speakers in a group agreeing, reaching consensus on the next steps, how to coordinate, who is going to speak, what month, what the topic will be, the title will be for this month. Now that is a joint decision. So we have moved from one individual being responsible for those decisions,
Mm-hmm.
with consultation, certainly he consulted, to a group consensus for the same decisions.
And so is that going to change later too, or is it always going to be the group now, since you're not doing individuals?
Could you explain that, please?
Well, it was Kutumi, and then it was Kutumi and
Kenu.
Kenu, but now it's the panelist group that are now in control, or now taking the
Right,
helm.
all right. What will change then, again,
Mm-hmm.
as a pattern for the groups that humanity will have
Mm-hmm.
in the new civilization, the group will remain and the mission will remain, but the membership of the group
Uh-huh.
can change.
Okay,
All right?
that makes a lot of sense. So we're speaking about groups, and I know that that's how you work with humanities. You're asking us to be in groups,
Yes.
to work in groups. But aren't we already in groups? I mean, everything is a group with us. We have our political, we have our churches as a group, our schools are a group, our businesses as a group. So how do you mean a group in a different way?
Who we guide. Right now, we have and have been working through individuals, and that individual has a following.
Right.
No, no more gurus, no more individuals with their unique followings. We will be now focusing to work with groups, and we will focus to help those groups become a group that can have a consensus. The groups will change, just as I was explaining.
Mm-hmm.
You may have your groups. All right, now, I won't even go there. Some of these groups do not listen to our guidance. Let me put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm.
All right. The groups now do not wish for the most part, to change leadership,
Right.
to change advisors, to change membership, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But that becomes a difficult process. It is not done, I would say it is probably not done willingly
Right.
for the benefit of the whole or for the benefit of the group. I'm not going to get into motives. That is judgmental. But from what I can see from the outside, I would question. I would simply question.
Well, I know in some of your articles you have asked, you've said that we need to break away from the groups that no longer serve the original purpose that they were set up for. So it's important to get out of groups and also to join other groups. Is that right?
Or to modify the groups.
Mm-hmm.
There are groups. And as we're leading and guiding in the spiritual process, it is getting more into working with these groups. And if you have any group, start looking at the mission. What is the mission? What is truly the mission of this group? Is it to make money?
We have a lot of those.
Right. Is that for the benefit of the whole, or is that for the benefit of those getting the big salary at the top?
Mm-hmm.
The underlying basis of these groups will be the service for all of humanity. And how that is expressed will change, but that will be an underlying purpose for these groups.
I know that you're also
Not the stockholders,
Oh, yeah,
the benefit of humanity.
of the oneness.
And that's different.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, absolutely. Sorry. You're also calling for, in the new civilization, for these new groups to work with other groups. It's not all this my group, your group.
That also is critical. That each group in the new civilization has affiliations or alliances with other groups. That there is a respect, an alliance of respect, if nothing else, to understand what other groups are working on a similar mission in a different way, and that you can each respect the work that the other group is doing, and understand that in the broad picture you're working, let's say, the same avenue, but that you each have a different portion to work. And then there will be those groups that are very closely allied because you have a very similar mission, but perhaps a slightly different geography. And you maintain contact. So it is this relationship of groups. And when some purpose crosses all the other groups that you mentioned, you know, the business, the politics, whatever, when groups have a purpose that crosses all those lines, then you have a beautiful example of what will be happening in the new civilization. So if the mission, for instance, is to expand humanity's consciousness, this does not limited to what you would call New Age groups or spirituality groups or religious groups. Not by a long shot. This covers politics, it covers education, it covers medicine, it covers healing. And when all those individual groups, all those current groups that I will call vertical, realize that in some way there is a horizontal link between them for the purpose of expanding humanity's consciousness. Mm-hmm. And they work in some way within that vertical organization for the expansion of humanity's consciousness. And every single node within every single organization that is dealing with expanding humanity's consciousness. They are all connected and working together. They are each aware of the others. They each know who they could call in that organization. They know what they could do, and that way a change will come about.
It reminds me of weaving a beautiful tapestry,
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
Well, in these groups that you're working in this panelist group, is there a leader of that group? Because somebody's got to
No.
keep things organized. I mean, how do
No,
you?
no.
No.
Have you heard of orchestras that don't have conductors?
Yes. All right.
There you go.
But who keeps things organized?
There is a consensus.
Okay.
All right, if a leader is needed, we can look around and say, okay, you volunteered.
Short straw, huh?
You got the shorts, you're leading this particular effort. Fine. But there's no leader of the group. There may be a
Okay.
leader of a specific project or a specific activity, but there is no leader of the
Some good
group.
volunteer to handle something.
Does that answer the
I
question?
think so,
Oh.
yeah. Can you give me an example of what these groups are working on? What does it look like?
What groups? Which groups are we talking
Well,
about now?
The groups that you
our
are
group.
working with. So you have the panelist group, and are you working with humanity, or is
We
this
are working
just for the website?
This is just for that is our purpose. That is all we are working on as a group.
Is the website?
The websites and the Facebook page. You could call us publicity.
Okay.
Finding a way to get the messages out to the public.
Okay.
That is what our group is for, and that is what our group does.
And so then you break apart to the individuals, and they do all other things.
Right. One individual being can be in many different groups.
Right. Okay.
Look at your credit cards, or look at the groups how many memberships do you have?
Exactly. Okay. Well, I don't know if this is a panelist group question, but when you're saying that there's, the time of the guru is over, and we sure like our gurus. And what is the purpose of that? Is that because the day of worshiping deity is over? We like to worship our deities and our gurus instead of the
You're
information.
asking some very leading questions.
Well, it's a big question, but is that something you feel
Right.
like you want to answer?
Well, yes, I will speak to this. It has been answered on Master Katumi on the website, on the May 2013 issue. And his answer is as good as any.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is that the day of the guru is gone, because every guru started off with a mission and a purpose. And what happens is, because of the dynamic individual involved and the charisma involved, the following has a very strong tendency to support the individual, not the mission. So when the individual leaves, the group starts falling apart. Whereas in the new civilization, that's what we're avoiding. That's what our plan calls for, that humanity will be smart enough to realize that that mission does not go away because the leadership changes. That mission does not go away for the oneness of humanity because the membership changes. That mission and purpose for humanity's spiritual growth remains. And that group must sustain itself through leadership changes, through the changes of the advisors to the leadership, and through the changes of the membership, until that mission and purpose is no longer part of the plan for the oneness of humanity. At that point, the group can normally and successfully dissolve without harming the plan, with moving humanity forward at the same time. So, why does the guru have to go? Because when the guru goes, the mission and purpose of that group is lost.
Right.
And that's a loss for humanity. That's a loss for humanity's progress.
So these gurus need to go into groups instead of being a single entity.
How they choose to do that
Is up to their own lifeline, I would imagine.
yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here and explaining the difference between the groups and the triads. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
I think that what I would like the audience to remember is that there is a variety in the ways we work. We of the community of spiritual masters, and I would say we of the off-earth allies who are working with the spiritual masters. Our group, the panelist group, is made up of members from the community and from our off-earth allies. We are all in the same group. That this is dynamic, that we work on the inner planes, let me call it, in a variety of ways. And these groups are not permanent. We can belong to many of them. It's a very fluid situation, and yet it is solid and stable and strong for its mission and purpose. And when that mission and purpose has been fulfilled, this group can disband and the members can go about other tasks. It is understanding that we are not limited to simply one way of working, one individual coming and working with another individual on the human plane and having that one-on-one relationship. It doesn't work that way.
This is so much more effective.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. I would like that message to go out there. Just be aware that there is a dynamic in the very variety of ways that we can join or disband in order to get the job done.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Sharon, I presume?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. This
Anybody
is Sharon.
left in there? I don't know.
Well, I'm overriding them if
Are
they are.
hovering? Yeah. Got a hovercraft over there? Well, thank you so much. It was very interesting.
Thank you,
and
Jeanette.
a great model for us to, as well, for humanity to come together for projects and disband easily, come together. Thank you so much. And once again,
Thank you.
You can always find more information about the group, the panelist group, and the other individuals who comprise weseektoserve.com and thoughtsfromamaster.com. So do check in there, and it's updated on a monthly basis. Thank you so much for tuning in.